You're all dark and twisty inside.
Dark and twisty.
When Andrew brought all this equipment out to the truck, the machetes, the hunting bows and arrows, the rope with the duct tape, canteens, and various things shown in these pictures, what'd you say to him or ask him about what all that stuff was for?
Didn't really talk much, you know. He just said he's putting the stuff in the van. I told him go ahead.
Did you ask him what it was for?
No, not really. Like I said, we didn't really talk then a lot.
You really knew what it was for, didn't you?
I didn't really pay attention. And I stayed in his living room,
You stayed in the living room
pretty much.
while he loaded the van?
Yes, sir.
And that's the living room of whose house? His?
His.
Had you ever told anybody before this incident that there was going to actually be a shooting?
Not actually a shooting, no. No, I haven't.
Who else besides your sister did you tell that there was going to be some trouble?
Nobody that I know of.
Did you have a girlfriend then?
At that very moment, no. I don't believe so.
Had you ever had sexual relations with a girl as the time of this shooting?
No, sir.
You had been the victim of sexual abuse yourself at that time, had you not?
True.
And that was by a male?
Yes, sir.
Was that a family member?
No, sir.
Was that person ever arrested?
No, sir.
Did you turn them into the police?
After the shooting?
Was anything ever done to them?
No, sir.
Why didn't you turn them in sooner?
I pretty much put it at the back of my mind. You know, I blocked it out.
Was this person a family member?
No, sir, it was not.
Did you ever sexually abuse anyone?
No, sir.
Did you and Andrew Golden have any sexual relations of any kind?
No, sir.
Now, do you remember Attorney Randall Miller?
Yes, sir, I do.
Randall Miller had conferred with you, had he not, on several occasions?
No, sir, he was my mother's attorney.
Okay, he was also representing you, though, wasn't he, because of your mother?
No, sir. I had a court-appointed attorney, and Mike Roberts was stepping in.
Well, he was on court appointed for the, he was working with you on the criminal matters, wasn't he, for the federal matter?
And my civil case, both, I believe.
And why did Mr. Roberts stop representing you?
Really didn't. I mean, I got found guilty. Nothing else. Y'all got a settlement. And, you know, I don't need an attorney after that.
Well, have you ever made a settlement?
Have I?
Uh-huh.
No, they said y'all have already got a judgment on me, and, you know.
Well, you understood there was going to be an agreed judgment entered against you, didn't you?
I don't, you know, I haven't talked to anybody about this.
Okay.
As far as I knew, you know, y'all have reached a settlement that, if my understanding was, as long as I don't go out profit from this, interviews, movies, books, or any, you know, et cetera, you know, that was the agreement.
And are you in agreement to a judgment being entered against you that any proceeds from any sales of any magazines, TVs, books, interviews, or contact of any kind to where you would attempt to profit from this shooting, that you would not be allowed to profit from it?
Yes, sir. I understand that.
And you have no problem with that, do you?
No, sir, I do not.
And you know it'd be wrong for you to attempt to profit from this, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Be bad, dirty money, wouldn't it?
Yes, sir. That and it would hurt the victims. That's why I don't talk to the media. That's why I don't have any dealings with. That's not my place to open wounds.
Okay.
I don't deal with the media. I don't like the media. I never plan to do anything like that.
All right. And do you appreciate the value of life?
Now I do.
And do you think that these parents of these children would value their child's life very highly?
Yes, sir.
And you think Mitchell Wright would value his wife's life very highly?
I don't know, honestly. From what I've heard, I don't know.
Well, from what you've heard, you think her son would have valued his mama's life?
I believe her son would, yes.
Okay. What is it you've heard that Mr. Wright would not have valued his wife's life? And who'd you hear it from?
I've heard several instances he was cheating on his wife, even the day of the shooting. And I've heard that he married Diana Ross right after this happened. And my question is, for his son's sake, I understand that why he'd be upset. But if he didn't love his wife and he was cheating on his wife, why would he want me dead? Yes, it was wrong for me to harm Miss Wright. Yes, I am sorry for that. But at the same time, how are you wanting to kill me, make terroristic threats against me, and yes, your wife died. Yes, sir. But you were cheating on her. Does that make that right? No, sir, it doesn't. Okay? And I agree with that. It's not right by any means. But how are you going to get mad at me if you were cheating on your wife? Then how do you say I deserve to die?
And can you tell me what evidence you have he was cheating on his wife?
I don't know. I know he married Diana, whatever her last name is, right after this happened. And what's that say? In my opinion.
Do you know how much time passed from the time that Miss Wright died before Mitchell Wright and Diana Davis got married?
It's really not my business. I don't know.
Do you know if they even knew each other before the shooting incident took place?
From what I've heard, yes, they knew each other quite well.
What did you hear it and from whom?
Several people. I don't know names. Just a lot of people in Jonesboro say that.
Give me a name.
I don't know names.
Your mother?
No. Probably not my mom. My mom's heard that, I'm sure.
Who told you is what I'm asking.
A lot of people. I mean, people from Jonesboro. I don't know, who exactly who. I don't know.
When would they have told you that? You were in jail from the day of the shooting until you turned 21, were you not?
Yes, sir, I was, every single day.
And did you have contact with people in Jonesboro when you were in jail?
Yes.
And how would you contact them?
Mail, phone, either or.
And did you write letters to anyone and people write letters to you?
Yes, sir, several times.
And did you write letters to anyone expressing remorse or sorrow for what had happened?
Yes, sir, I have.
Who are some of the people you wrote letters to expressing remorse?
Colby Brooks, Josh Brand.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
Colby Brooks, Josh Brand, Monty, my brother, my mother, several people.
Did you ever write one to Mr. Wright?
I was informed not to contact him, that I wasn't allowed to.
Okay. Did you ask your mother to contact any of the victims or their families?
Not that I recall.
You do not portray yourself as a victim here, do you?
As far as?
Well, you don't portray yourself as an innocent victim in this shooting incident, do you?
No, sir. Not necessarily, no.
Or do you somewhat portray yourself out to be an innocent victim?
I don't look at myself as a victim. I look at myself as, having done a crime, I paid the price. At that price, I've lost my childhood. At that price, I'm now struggling every single day to support myself because I can't find a job. No one will hire me. I struggle every day that I get people stare me in the face, call me a murderer to my face. And, I struggle with the fact that, like you said, my deity, my God, he has a problem with that. Murder is a sin. And yes, it says Christ will forgive you. and I believe that. You know, but at the same time, I did lose my childhood. It was a choice I made. Okay, and I'm not saying I'm a victim, but I did lose my childhood, and I've lost a lot of valuable time. And as far as getting back on my feet, I'm still not on my feet. I don't have a job. You know, I worked at Walmart for a couple months. They found out who I was, fired on the spot. Worked at Glad for 1 day.
You work what?
I worked at Glad, the Glad plant in Rogers, for 1 day. A guy in Jonesboro run into me. Found out who I was, went and told them who I was, fired on the spot. Come to me, you're done. And I asked him, what did I do? Who you are? Well, who am I? Oh, you're a murderer. You're gone. Yes, okay. I appreciate your time, thank you. And I left. You know? So this follows me every day. Am I a victim? No. I made a mistake. I chose to do wrong, and now it follows me.
Now, when you got out of federal custody, where's the first place you moved to live?
I was in Memphis for a while, and then I moved to South Carolina.
Who were you living with in Memphis?
Myself. Me and my mom stayed together for a couple days. It was only a couple days, like a day and a half, 2 days maybe, and some friends of mine from South Carolina come and got me.
Who was that?
It's friends of mine I met while I was in jail.
Who is that?
Carlos Suarez is his name. Carlos Suarez is his name.
And where in South Carolina?
Columbia. Or Lexington officially, but it's Columbia District.
And where did you work when you were in South Carolina?
I didn't.
Who supported you?
Carlos and his wife.
And how long did you stay there?
About 8 months. From August until when did I leave? March. Around March.
Your birthday is when now?
August 11th.
And so you turned 21 August 11th of what year?
2005.
And you went originally to Memphis, and then after a few days went to South Carolina?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes, sir. Yes, excuse me.
Stayed there about 8 months.
Yes, sir.
Never found a job?
I worked part-time under the table for a lawn care service.
All right. And then you left South Carolina and went where?
I stayed and I went to see Scott, actually.
Your natural father, Scott?
Yeah.
Was he in Minnesota?
Nope.
Where was he?
He was in Wisconsin at the time.
Wisconsin?
Yes, sir.
How long did you stay with him there?
Let me see. 2 months, 3 months maybe. March to June.
Of 2006?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And did you work while you were there?
Yes, sir, I did.
Where did you work?
McKay Nursery. McKay Nursery.
In what city and state?
Waterloo, Wisconsin.
Okay. Why did you leave that job?
I came home to see my mom.
And was your mom living in Jonesboro at the time?
Yes, sir.
And when you came to Jonesboro, did you stay with your mother?
For a while.
How long did you stay with her?
A couple weeks.
And did you get a job?
No, sir. I didn't leave the house for natural reasons.
Okay. And when you left your mom, where did you go next?
Here, Fayetteville.
And why Fayetteville?
My buddy lives up here,
Who is your buddy?
Justin Trammell.
And that's the fellow that you got arrested with a month or two ago?
I got arrested. He didn't.
He did not?
Yes, sir, he did not.
And he was the fellow that was in Alexander for the crossbow, killing somebody with a crossbow?
That's what they blamed me for, yes, sir.
Okay, well, he admitted to it, didn't he?
I don't know. That's not my business.
Okay. How is it you two became friends?
In Alexander?
Okay. And he obviously got out before you did
Yes, sir.
and came to the Fayetteville area. Is this where he's from originally?
He's from Bentonville originally.
Yeah.
So, yes, he's familiar with this area.
Where does he work? Do you know?
I don't know.
Do you know where he lives?
No, sir.
You still in contact with him?
After I got arrested, no.
What's his phone number? Do you know?
I don't have a phone. I don't think he has one either.
Okay. And I'm not going to get into the details of your crime. I'm only asking you what you're charged with. What are you charged with?
Possession of a concealed weapon and possession of a controlled substance.
And when are you scheduled to go to court?
I don't know.
And Doug Norwood's your attorney?
Yes, sir, he is.
Is he public defender?
No, sir.
Who's paying him?
I did. I'm paid him.
Where'd you get the money to pay him?
When I worked at Walmart.
Okay. Now, do you still owe him some money, or are you paid in full?
I owe him about $200, I think.
Okay. And you don't know when your court date is?
No, sir. I haven't talked to him about it. It got continued as far as I know.
Okay. And the other fellow, Justin, is that his name?
Yes, sir.
Was not charged with any crime?
No, sir.
Who was driving the vehicle, you or him?
He was.
As I recall, you had seen and knew what trigger locks were before this shooting incident took place, correct?
Then?
Yes.
I don't know if I did or not. I've never used one.
I understand, but you had seen them before. I think you told me earlier you'd seen them before, hadn't you?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, if these guns had been secured with a trigger lock so that you couldn't pull the trigger without a key or a combination or some way to get into it, you wouldn't have been able to use these guns for anything but a billy club, right?
Not necessarily.
As a 13-year-old kid, you would not have known how to disarm a trigger lock, would you?
Probably not, no.
And you tried to get in, or you and/or Andrew tried to get into the gun safe at his parents' house, right?
I didn't.
I said, and/or Andrew tried to get into the gun safe at his
I
parents'
don't know.
house. You don't know?
No. If he did, and he did, I wasn't there. I mean, I was in the living room.
You
So-
didn't try to pick the lock yourself? Think about it.
Picked the lock myself.
You tried
I
to
don't-
pick the lock, didn't you?
I don't know. I don't think I did. I mean, you see. I don't know. I can't say yes or no, really.
But at any rate, you all, between the two of you, were not successful getting guns out of the locked gun cabinet, correct?
As far as I know.
So when you left Golden's parents' house, you left there with no guns, right?
No, sir.
Is that not right?
That's not true.
What guns did you take from Golden's parents' house?
I don't know.
Did you take any guns from Golden's parents' house?
I didn't.
Did he? Did Andrew?
I believe he did.
What did he take?
I don't know. I'm not sure which ones he had.
Rifle,
It wasn't
pistol?
the rifle.
It was pistol?
I think so.
Did you see it?
I don't know. I don't think I seen it. I think it was in a bag if it was. And I could be wrong. I don't know.
Did he tell you he had a pistol?
No.
What made you think he had one?
Just, I know he had 10 from altogether. There was 10 guns. And he might have got them from his grandfather.
Do you know one way or another?
I'm not sure, no. So I can't say positively that it was he got them from his parents' house or from his grandfather's house.
You told me when this shooting happened that you were going through a lot of hard times and frankly didn't like yourself and didn't see life really worth living, right?
Pretty much.
What all were the things going on with you then that made life such a desolate scenario?
After I hit puberty, I recalled being molested. That had a lot to do with my anger. It had a lot to do with why I was so mad all the time. My gang life, I got tired of it. And there's pretty much, I just got tired of the gang life. I got tired of having to watch my back. I got tired of getting jumped on. I got tired of having to jump people. I got tired of all that. And I knew the only way to get away from that was to leave. My parents were divorced. Me and my dad never got along. My real dad, Scott. I'd go up there and I hated it. I wanted to stay home with my mom. You know, it's a lot of stuff.
What else was going on negative for you?
I did well in school grade-wise, just my behavior. I had to fight a lot in school, you know. Had a lot of people didn't like me. They wanted to be gang members themselves and all this stuff. And, you know, just there's a lot of drama at school.
Were you a gang member?
Yes, I was.
How did you get initiated?
I got jumped in.
And by getting jumped in, what happened?
I had to fight for 3 minutes and 11 seconds with 5 other people.
Why 3 minutes and 11 seconds?
It's just how long it was.
Okay. And when did that happen and where?
Minnesota,
How old were you?
9.
Had you been rejected by any girls that you'd approached at Westside?
Several times, probably.
Did that make you angry too?
It make me angry. I thought they were stuck up, you know. Made me angry. I'd laugh, I'd laugh at them. I didn't really care, you know. They didn't want to talk to me. That's their loss, not mine, really. That's how I looked at it then.
How do you look at it now?
I have a fiance. And
Well, I'm talking about looking back on the situation at Westside is what I'm asking about. Looking back now, how do you perceive it?
oh well, you know, they rejected me. I've got my fiance now. I'm happy, you know. I'm very happy. I'm glad it wasn't nothing serious because I wouldn't have her now.
Were there ever any written plans, maps, or notes made?
No, sir. Not that I know of.
Did Andrew ever tell you he'd made a list?
No, sir.
Did he ever discuss with you he had some certain people he was going to get?
No, sir.
In your earlier deposition, when I asked you about Amber Vanover, I want you to tell me if you remember this and see if it refreshes your recollection.
Okay.
To set the record straight, I had told her not to come to school because I thought something bad might happen, and then after that I told her that I loved her and I would see her, and that was all that was said. I loved her and I would see her sometime. Does that refresh your recollection?
I told that to Jennifer. I don't know an Amber Vanover.
You told that to Jennifer, meaning your sister?
Yep.
Where does your sister live now?
I don't know. I haven't talked to her since her mother got killed.
And what's her mother's name?
Stacy.
And how old is Jennifer?
I'm 22. I believe she'll be 22 in November, I think.
Who is her dad?
I'm thinking. I don't know his name off the top of my head. I'm not sure. I don't know. I forgot his name.
Who is her mother?
Stacy Nightingale.
Why do you call her your sister?
She's close to me, like my sister.
She's not really your sister?
My blood-related sister? No, she's not.
All right. Do you know if she lives in Jonesboro?
Said I haven't talked to her since 2005
Where was she living in 2005?
in Jonesboro.
What name was she going by?
Jennifer
Jennifer what?
Nightingale.
Do you know if she's ever been married?
I don't know. She was talking about it, but I don't know her. I didn't know her fiance's name or anything like that.
You had problems with the teacher that took your Nike hat from you. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
And Miss Fuller was one of the people involved in that, or was she?
Yes, sir.
You were angry at her?
Yeah, I didn't appreciate that.
And you hated in-school suspension, did you not?
Yeah, it wasn't a fun time.
And that was part of what your anger was that motivated you for this shooting, wasn't it?
No, not necessarily.
It was part of it, wasn't it?
I didn't really take that into consideration. I was more on the lines of my gang life and how much, I hated myself. And just, I didn't, school was school to me. I went there, learned, and I came home, did what
But you were in school suspension. That really angered you, didn't you? Didn't it? You hated in school suspension, as you said in your journal.
I guess so. I didn't like in school suspension.
And you really disliked the teachers that put you in there because you didn't think you deserved to
I
be
disliked
there.
Miss Fuller because she was the in-school suspension teacher. She was the one who took my hat. She was the one, she messed with me all the time.
And you didn't think you needed to be in school suspension, did you?
No, I didn't.
And so part of the anger that brought about this shooting incident was your anger at the school and in-school suspension. True?
No.
Not true.
No.
Didn't have anything to do with it.
Not really, no.
Well, when you say not really, did it partly?
Maybe partly. But that wasn't the first thing on my mind. I didn't go there saying, okay, these people put me in suspension. I'm going to shoot these people. That was not going through my head, no.
What was going through your head?
Just getting away.
Before
Leaving.
the shooting took place, what were you thinking? What were you thinking right before the shooting started?
Right before the shooting started. How I didn't want anybody to get hurt, really. That I just wanted to get away from the gang members. I wanted to get away from my life. Just get away. That's all I kept saying.
And after the shooting stopped, what caused the shooting to stop? Why did you all quit shooting? You had more ammo, right?
Yeah.
Why did you stop shooting?
I don't know.
Was it because the men up on the roof spotted you and yelled?
I don't know. I don't recall. I said I pulled the trigger that one time. I remember seeing Natalie getting hit, and I don't remember anything after that until Andrew came back and grabbed me and told me, let's go.
Or you remember shooting at the man on the roof twice with a pistol, don't you?
I believe so. Yeah.
Why were you shooting at him? Because he spotted you?
I don't know, really. Just, yeah. I guess because he spotted me.
And you were trying to hit him when you were shooting at him with a pistol, weren't you?
I shot in his direction. I didn't aim for him, really.
Well, you were shooting at him, weren't you?
I shot towards him, yes.
And you were trying to hit him, weren't you?
Not necessarily, no.
Of course, as far away as you were with a pistol, it was pretty unlikely, wasn't it?
I knew I wasn't going to hit him. I knew that much. If I wanted to hit him, I'd have used the rifle, probably. So,
Like you did on the others?
no.
You
If
did?
I intentionally wanted to hit that man, I would have used the rifle. I knew the pistol wasn't going to reach.
And you did use the rifle in the shooting, and you did shoot several people, right?
According to
You've seen the ballistics reports,
Yes, sir, I have.
and you know the ballistics reports show your gun was involved in at least 3 of the shootings, wasn't
It was only 3, as far as I know.
it? Okay. And you know that those rifle fragments from your gun came about because you were shooting at those people, right?
Okay.
Right?
Right.
And you can't give me any reason why you shot at one person instead of another. I mean, was there any selection process as to aiming at one person versus aiming at another?
No, sir. There wasn't.
Did Andrew
Not
ever,
on my behalf.
Did Andrew ever tell you, either while you were in jail or before or anything else, how he decided who he was going to shoot?
No, sir.
And you know that he shot Natalie in the head, right?
Yes, sir.
Did you ask him, why'd you shoot Natalie in the head?
No.
How close to him were you when you fired your shots and when he was firing his shots? How far apart were you?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, you know, if you were you close enough to touch him when he shot?
No.
Were you as far away as you and I are now?
Probably.
Were you further? Or
Maybe.
about this distance?
Maybe further.
Were you as close as the cameraman is to you?
I don't know. Somewhere around this range. I wasn't close enough to touch him.
Okay. Within a few feet of him, would that be fair?
We can say that.
And you wouldn't have to have yelled to have talked to him. You could have talked to him like we're talking now, and he would have heard you, right?
It had been pretty loud.
Okay. At what point did Andrew come to get you to say we're leaving or we're going?
I mean, the shooting had already stopped, as far as I know.
And that's after you had run out of ammo in your rifle and you'd fired 2 shots at the man on the roof.
Right.
And Andrew had shot how many times, do you know?
I don't know.
How many do you think he shot?
I don't know.
Can you give me an estimate?
No, sir, I can't.
How many do you remember that he shot?
3.
You remember?
I remember 3 rounds.
Okay. And after the shooting stopped, who's the first person that said something? You say something to Andrew or him say something to you?
He told me, let's go. I was sitting there, just staring.
And what did you say or do?
I just grabbed my guns that was on the ground and left,
And where did you all go?
heading towards the van.
And where was the van parked?
Exactly, I don't remember. Maybe 2 streets from Doug Golden's house.
Okay. And what happened while you were leaving the ambush area headed toward the van?
We were detained.
Huh?
We were detained.
Well, before you were detained, did anything happen? You say anything to Andrew? Him say anything to you?
I don't know. I don't recall, really.
You don't recall putting a gun to his head? He was wanting to stop and you put him a gun to his head saying that you got me into this and we're getting out? You remember that, don't you?
Yeah. Yes, I did.
And the gun you put to his head, was that the same pistol you'd fired twice at the man on the roof?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Were you intending to shoot him?
No.
Why'd you have the gun at his head?
To intimidate him.
Had you intimidated Andrew on other occasions?
No.
Well, you and he actually started talking about this shooting back as early as Christmas time in the prior year, hadn't you?
He came to me about it sometime around then.
You know what? Go ahead.
And I told him, that's when I first told him, you have to be out your mind to come to me with some stuff like this.
And when did the shooting actually take place?
In March
March what?
24th, I believe,
What year?
of 1998.
And so in Christmas of 97, tell me what you told him and what he told you.
Again, I guess he came to me about it, and he was like, hey, what did he say? He just come to me, he was like, I've been thinking about doing some scaring of some people. So I'm really tired of them playing with me. And he wanted to prove a point.
And he asked you to help, and you told him he would, and you knew something bad was going to happen, even as far back as Christmas, didn't you?
No, that's when he first come to me about it, I told him, no, you have to be out of your mind to come to me about some stuff like this.
And you continued talking about it for a while until you finally decided you'd help him do the crimes. Isn't that true?
We talked over spring break. It was the next time we talked about it. And that was that was like a week before the shooting actually happened.
And you discussed with him where you'd get the guns, how you'd get them, and how you'd provide the transportation.
I told him I'd provide transportation for him. That's what he asked me to do for him.
And he told you where and how you'd get the guns, didn't he?
No, he didn't. I didn't care. I didn't plan on using the guns.
Did you not tell me in your earlier deposition? I'm going to read it to you
Okay.
because you're still under that oath.
Okay.
Quote, and then we had continued talking. This is after the Christmas time. Then we continued talking about it for a while, and it went on like that until I had finally decided that I'd help him do the crimes. And we had discussed where we would get the guns, how we would get them, and how I would get the transportation and everything. The week of spring break, right before spring break, we decided that it was probably going to happen. That's what you told me in your deposition earlier, wasn't it?
Okay.
Is that true?
Yeah, I guess. I said it.
Well, is it true or not?
Yeah, it's true.
So then when you told him you'd help him do the crimes, you knew what the crimes were, didn't you?
Well, I knew carrying guns on school property is a crime.
Were you actually on school property?
When?
At any time with a gun?
The day of the shooting, if that's school property. I don't know if it was or not.
What other crimes were you going to help him do?
That was it.
So when you told me in your earlier deposition you were going to help him do the crimes, the only crime you had in your mind is you'd have a gun on school property? Is that what you're telling us under your oath?
Yeah, it is. That I discussed with him what he wanted to do. He told me he had some problems at school, and he asked me, could I get transportation? I said, yes, I could.
When you got the guns, you saw Andrew put the key back on the nail, didn't you?
I don't know. I don't know if I did or not.
Just don't remember?
I don't remember, no.
Okay. When did you first learn that Andrew knew how to shoot a gun?
When did I first learn?
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, he told me he shoots, so I just assumed he knew. You know, if you shoot a gun, you know how to use it.
Did you know that he had won some little shooting tournaments or events?
No, I never went to him with him.
So I understand you did not help him load the van at all with the camping gear, right?
I don't think I did. I might have, but I don't remember if I did or not, really. I don't think I did.
Did you or didn't you?
I don't know. I don't recall.
When did he first discuss with you his plan to set off the fire alarm to get people to leave the building? When was that first discussed?
Over spring break, I believe.
What did he tell you?
What did he tell me? Just that, that's how he's going to get the people to come out of the building. He's going to use the fire alarm. He's going to set the fire alarm off.
And did he tell you why he wanted the people to come out of the building?
No.
Or did you ask, well, why you want the people to come out of the building?
No.
Did he tell you that I'm going to get the people to come out of the building just so they can get work on their suntans?
No.
I mean, what was the discussion about it?
That's just what he told me. He just told me that he was going to use the fire alarm. He's going to set the fire alarm off, and the people would come out.
And then did you say, well, what's going to happen then?
No.
You sure? You mean the guy's going to tell you I'm going to set the fire alarm off for the people to come out of the building, and you're not going to say why or what are we going to do then? You don't expect us to believe that, do you, Mr. Johnson?
Let me see. Give me the question again. What's the question? What are you asking me?
when when Andrew told you
Mm-hmm.
that he was going to set off the fire alarm to get the people to come out of the building, there had to be some discussion about why or what was the purpose of that. Who said what?
He set the fire alarm off. People would come out. Let me see. Then we talked. I asked him why then. I was like, okay, I'll give you that. Well, you say that? Okay. Like, why? Why would you do that?
What did he say?
He said people would come out. That's when he'd prove a point, you know what I mean? He'd scare people.
That's when what?
He'd prove a point and scare people.
Did he say how he'd prove the point and he'd scare people?
Yeah, he's going to shoot over their heads.
And when he said he was going to shoot over their heads,
Mm-hmm.
how did he think that was going to prove his point?
Well, that would scare people and to stop messing with him.
And did he tell you, I expect you to shoot too?
Initially, no.
When did he first tell you he wanted you to do some of the shooting?
The day of the shooting.
What did he tell you?
He told me, I called him, I said, you still need that transportation? He was like, yeah, you're coming with me. I said, okay. I said, I'll be over there after a while. Skipped school and went to his house.
When was the first discussion about you doing some of the shooting?
At his house.
Who said what?
He just said, you're going to help me when I get the guns, you're going to help me do the shooting.
And you said?
Yes.
Was there any further discussion about it?
Yeah.
Who said what?
I asked him, I said, if I do help you do this, no one's going to get hurt, right? He said that was his plan, not to hurt anybody. He just meant to scare some people and prove a point that, he's tired of being messed with at school.
And when you had this discussion, was there a discussion about why you needed as much ammo as we saw in these pictures if you're going to just shoot a few shots to scare some people? Why did you need hundreds of rounds of ammunition?
That's what we was going to use to survive. We was going to hunt with that in the woods.
Oh, y'all were going to go live in the woods?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
When was the decision made to go live in the woods? I
don't know. I think the day the shooting happened.
The day
That's
of the shooting?
That's when he informed me that's what he wanted to do.
Tell me about that. When and where that conversation took place and who said what?
Over the phone, I believe, when I was at my mom's still.
What
That's
did
why he
say?
told me to pack my stuff.
What did he say?
What did I say or what did he say?
What did he say?
What did he say? He just said, he said he was going to leave after the shooting happened. He's got a place we're going to go. I said, okay, what do I need? He said, just pack your stuff. You probably won't be coming back home. I said, okay.
And did he say where this place was?
No, sir, he didn't. I didn't ask.
And did you, you just told me there was a discussion about you living in the woods, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
What did he say about living in the woods?
He just said we was going to run away. He had a spot in the woods somewhere. We just said we didn't get into full discussion of where and when and all that. I was following him, really.
So was he the ringleader of this operation?
Yes, sir, he was.
And had you heard that Andrew had told some other kid, happened to be Jonathan Woodard, about the plans for the shooting in advance?
I knew he got suspended for that. I didn't know who said what. I didn't know who told on him.
All right. And Shannon Wright's son young boy,
Yes, sir.
has grown up without his mama,
Unfortunately.
and he wanted me to ask you a question.
Okay.
So I'm going to quote from you verbatim the question the child wanted me to ask you. Okay?
Okay.
The child wanted me to ask you, why did you shoot my mama? Answer that question for that little boy, because he's going to listen to this answer and live with it. Tell him why you shot his mama.
It wasn't intentional. I didn't intend to harm anybody that day.
With a .30-06 and a telescopic sight and your bullet striking 3 people, you didn't intend to hurt anybody.
No, sir, I didn't.
Did that telescopic sight, was it just a coincidence that it went off and hit these people?
Not necessarily. I don't remember physically looking down my scope, aiming at a certain person and pulling the trigger. I didn't have animosity towards Miss Wright. Miss Wright was always good to me. Miss Wright's a very good woman. And for the record and for her son, I would definitely apologize. I am apologizing. And I am sorry, young man, that you had to grow up without your mother. And I am sorry that you didn't get a chance to know who your mother was. And from what I knew of her, she was a very good woman. One of the best teachers I ever had. I didn't know her after that. And I'm really sorry she's gone.
All right. Anything you want to say so if the family members of any of these other victims see this tape, what do you want to say to the family members of the 4 children who were killed?
Again, that I'm sorry. That this is something that I have to live with the rest of my life as well. The guilt that I have. The struggles I go through every day still. Of trying to find a job because of who I am. I'm not mad at anybody. If they're mad at me, I don't blame them at all. I try and put myself in their shoes and ask myself, if somebody killed my mother or my daughter, how would I feel? And I understand why they'd be upset, and they have that right to be. You know? That if I could take it back, even if it meant me dying and going to hell, I would. And I wouldn't second guess it. I ask myself a lot, do I deserve to be free? I don't think I do, in all honesty. You know, this recent arrest that I had, I'm sorry for. The marijuana was not mine. The gun was. I got it as a Christmas gift from a friend. Again, I'm sorry that all this had to be threw back up. I'm really sorry for the losses. I'm sorry that they had to go through knowing that their little girl would never come home again. That they'll never experience marriage and they'll never experience childhood for themselves. And I was wrong.
Do the events of that day flash back in your mind?
A lot.
When you're flashing back in your mind and the shooting is actually taking place, what thoughts were going through your mind when the shooting was taking place?
All I remember is seeing Natalie getting hit. And that keeps replaying and keeps replaying and keeps replaying in my dreams, sometimes during the day. I don't remember hitting anybody else. I don't remember aiming at anybody else.
When the guns were loaded, and you helped load the guns, did you not?
Not sure if I did or not.
Well, you had in your possession loaded guns.
Yes, sir, I did.
At the time you had those loaded guns going into that ambush site, you knew that there was a substantial risk that innocent people could be hurt or killed, didn't you?
Possibly, yes.
Because when guns are fired in the general direction of somebody, even a ricochet can hurt or kill them.
Yes, sir.
And you knew that.
Yes, sir.
And still, with that knowledge, you went ahead and fired that gun repeatedly, the rifle, right?
Yes, sir.
And when the man was on the roof, saw you, you took out the pistol and you fired at him twice.
Yes, sir.
And you didn't know if that pistol would reach him or not, did you?
I knew it wouldn't.
How far away was he?
A ways.
How far away?
I don't know.
How far?
75 yards, maybe.
How far will a pistol shoot?
Accurately?
How far will a pistol shoot?
Accurately, it was a 38, I believe, that I shot at him with. A 38 accurately, maybe 50 yards.
And if it's not accurate, how far will a bullet travel to where it could harm somebody?
I'm not sure. A mile, maybe.
Okay. And so you know, shooting in the direction of those people, that you were putting them at substantial risk too, did you not?
Yes,
Just
sir.
shooting in their direction?
Yes, sir.
You have been, you've had some therapy or counseling on more than one occasion, haven't you?
Oh, yes.
Who
Many,
all-
many times.
Before your arrest, who all had you had counseling with?
Before my arrest?
Yes. Dr. Michael Prince and who else?
Before my arrest. I seen a doctor one time, I believe, in Jonesboro. Don't know his name. But that was it.
In counseling, did you ever tell your counselors or therapists why you did this?
I still don't know why. Really. I don't know why I decided to help Andrew. I don't technically know why.
Okay. In the juvenile detention in both state and federal, were you ever the victim of a sexual assault when
No,
you were
sir.
incarcerated?
Thank God, no.
Did you have any sexual contact with any of the other inmates?
No, sir.
Were you involved in any altercations or fights while you were
Yes,
in
sir.
detention? How many?
How many? 2 or 3?
Were you ever the person who provoked any of those incidents?
No.
And Mr. Johnson, you had had trouble with school in terms of cussing on the bus, cussing teachers, and fighting throughout your time at Westside, had you not?
Yes, sir.
What brought about that kind of behavior?
Initially, how I seen my dad treat me, how I seen Scott treat me, how I seen Scott live.
Tell me what you mean by that.
He cussed me all the time. He used to hit me, fight with me.
Was he physically abusive to you?
Yes, sir, he was.
What would he do physically abusively?
Punch me in the face, slap me around, throw me against walls.
Was he an alcoholic?
No, sir. Not that I know of.
Just use drugs?
Probably, yeah.
What about abuse of animals? Did you ever abuse animals?
No.
Did he?
Scott?
Mhm.
I don't know.
You know if
Not-
Andrew did?
No, sir.
By abuse of animals, like taking a ball bat and hitting a cat just to see what would happen to it, something
No,
like that.
sir. I have pets.
Huh?
Or I had pets then.
Okay. Let's change our tape and we'll be through shortly.
Okay.
Let's just stay where we are.
The time is 2:07 PM. We are off the record. The time is 2:07 PM. We are back on the record.
Mr. Johnson, I want to show you a little diagram. And mark this as, what are we up to, D?
Yes, sir.
And the next one will be E. And this is a diagram made by the police. You might look at it for a minute. It shows the ambush position and the other ambush position, and it shows a building under construction and the basketball court. You see that?
Yes, sir, I do.
Does that look like the area where the shooting took place?
That's a rough sketch.
Okay. Where were the children in this diagram and the teachers when the shooting took place? Can you point to it?
No, it's not there.
It's not there?
No, sir, not that I see.
About where were the children? If you were here, where were the children in reference to where you shot? Just pointing, they were here. About where were they? And here's the basketball.
I'm looking for the sidewalk that connected from between the gym and the school. Where's the gym? Is it on there at all?
Basketball court?
No, the gym, the
Yeah,
gymnasium, the inside.
You just tell me. I mean, I wasn't there.
I mean, I don't know.
If you can't tell me, that's
I can't
that's
tell
fine.
you.
Okay.
Not from that diagram.
All right. Now let's look at another diagram then
Okay.
and see if this will help you any. This is a diagram that I'll mark as Exhibit E. This is a diagram that shows where the various students and teachers were when the shooting took place. See the sidewalks?
Okay.
And the ones in red is where the people were that were killed. Do you see that?
Yes, sir, I do.
And the ones in blue are where the ones that were not killed but were injured. Do you see that?
Okay.
And here's where the fire alarm was. Do you see that?
Where?
Right here?
Okay.
Now, where were you and Andrew in relation to this drawing?
We was on this side of the page.
So you'd have been over in this direction.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, when the shooting took place, Andrew would have been to your right. Is that correct?
I don't recall.
You don't remember?
I don't remember which side he was on.
You don't remember if he was on your right or your left?
No, sir, I don't.
Okay. And so you were shooting from the left of this page to the right of this page. Is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And there were some 70 or so teachers and students in that area, right?
I don't know.
Okay. There was a large crowd.
They found out it wasn't a large crowd that I remember. It wasn't like a huge group of people, no.
Okay. Do you have any reason to dispute that the police diagram with all those numbers on it is represented by the names of the people as part of the police diagram as to who was standing,
No,
where
sir.
they were standing?
I don't recall. There was only, after the fire alarm was pulled and the first two shots were fired, there were not that many people out there. After the fact, because there was several shots fired after I shot my first round and don't recall shooting after that. There was 4 more rounds shot from my gun, and I don't know how many Andrew shot
4 more from your rifle
from my rifle.
and
Excuse
2
me.
more from your pistol.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you don't remember shooting any of those
I remember shooting the pistol after
Okay.
the fact.
after the fact. And you don't remember shooting the rifle the other 4 rounds?
No, sir, I do not.
So you don't remember whether you were taking dead aim with that rifle or not, if you don't even remember pulling the trigger?
From where I stand right now, I was not intending to hurt anybody.
No, that wasn't my question.
Okay. What's
If
your
you
question?
don't remember even shooting the gun, you can't remember whether you were aiming it or not, correct?
Correct.
So then if the people were shot, it's a reasonable conclusion they were aimed at and shot as a result of where you were aiming the gun. Reasonable?
Rephrase it, please.
Yes.
Rephrase the question.
Since you don't remember even pulling the trigger, you
Okay.
can't remember where you were aiming. Is that right?
True. This is
So
true.
then, if the gun was shot and the bullet struck people, that meant the gun was aimed at those people or the bullets wouldn't have hit them, right?
Technically, yes.
Okay. And nobody had control of that gun but you, right?
I don't know that.
What, did Andrew ever take your gun away from you?
I don't know that. I can't say.
And after the shooting was over, did you still have the gun in your possession?
It was on the ground.
Right beside you?
It was in front of me a couple feet.
Okay. Did you throw it down to pick up your pistol to shoot at the men on the roof?
I don't know.
Where was Andrew when you had your pistol shooting at the people on the roof?
Behind me, I believe.
Already trying to leave?
Yes, sir. That's after he come and got me again. Because he had left. He had got up and left and came back. That's what he told me. He came back. He's like, I had to come get you because I was sitting there.
Did he tell you that you shot after he had stopped shooting? You kept shooting?
After he stopped shooting?
Yes. And he then left and he had to come back and get you? Had you still been shooting?
I don't know.
Who fired the last shot?
I don't know.
All right. When did Andrew tell you that he left and had to come back and get you? When did he tell you that?
I don't even know if he told me that. I might be assuming that. But I know I was sitting there, no shots. I didn't hear any shots. I remember sitting there and him grabbing me. And I turned around and looked at him. He said, "Come on, let's go." And that's when I remember from that point on what had happened.
All right. When the police stopped you and detained you, who said or did what?
We was on a road and the police pulled up. And the officer jumped out of the vehicle, told us to stop. So I stopped. He
Did they have their weapons drawn?
Yes, sir, they did. He did. There was only one officer at the time, I believe.
And you had your weapons with you, did you not?
Yes, sir, I did.
And the officer told you to do what?
Dropped the weapons.
Did you?
At first, no.
Why not?
I didn't know what to do, really. I just looked at him.
Then what happened?
He repeated it, and another police officer showed up, drew his weapon, and that's when I put my gun down.
Did you ever make any movement toward the officers like you might shoot them or at them?
No, sir, I didn't.
Did you think the officers were about to shoot you?
I didn't know.
Did they ask you what happened?
Not really that I recall.
Did you know Paige Herring, who was killed? Did you know her?
I know of her. I don't know her personally. I didn't know her personally.
You did not know her personally.
I don't believe so.
Did you know Stephanie Johnson?
I mean, we all went to school together. I never hung out with any of them besides Natalie.
Did you ever have any social interaction with Paige Herring, Stephanie Johnson, or Brittany Varner?
In passing.
Okay. Had you ever asked any of them to go out on a date?
No, sir.
Had you ever said something to them and they were rude to you or dismissed you or rejected you in any way?
No, sir.
Did you have any animosity toward any one of them?
No, sir, I didn't.
All right, let's talk about Natalie Brooks.
Okay.
What, if any, was your contact with Natalie Brooks?
Me and Natalie were friends.
You and Natalie were friends. What was the nature of that friendship?
We hung out at school. I've been to a couple basketball games she was at. We hung out up there.
Kind of sat together, that sort of thing?
Yeah, talked.
Okay. Were you in the same classrooms?
No, sir, she's a year younger than me.
Were you in the classrooms with Paige Herring?
No, sir.
Were you ever in
I
the
don't believe so.
classroom with Stephanie Johnson?
We was in the same grade. I don't know if we had class together or not, but we was in the same grade, I think.
What about Brittany Varner?
I believe she was a year younger than me too.
And had you ever had any, other than Miss Wright, according to the record, sending you to in-school detention twice, had you had any conflicts with Miss Wright?
Me and Miss Wright, I always got along with Miss Wright.
One of the police officers indicates that he was standing holding on to your handcuffs when an officer talking to himself as much as anything else said why, according to the police report of Officer Investigator Rick Dickinson. It says why, and Johnson heard this other officer and said anger, I guess. And then he nodded toward the other suspect, Golden, and said, quote, he asked me if I'd help him do it, and I said yes. Did that happen?
I don't recall if it did or not. I don't recall saying that. I may have.
And Andrew Golden was 11 years old when this incident happened, right? You were 13?
I was 13. I don't know how old Andrew was.
A lot of people have been asking questions for years relating to the shooting at Westside, Columbine School, and other school shooting incidents, that some of which successful and some of which were broken up, right?
I guess.
Well, you read the paper and see the TV.
I wasn't allowed to watch the news or associate with the press.
Since
at
you've
all.
been out, you've heard about the Columbine shooting, haven't you?
Since I've been out, yes,
And other school shootings or episodes, right?
I guess.
One of our purposes here is to try to find out what would make two 11 and 13-year-old kids commit mass murder. That's one of the things that the parents are very interested in, so hopefully we can have some input into trying to keep this from happening anywhere else.
Yes, sir.
Do you agree that's a good
I
thing?
believe that's a very good thing, yes. I
Can
do.
you give us any insight that maybe we could share with other people, is to say, here's things to be on the lookout for. Here's things to be aware of. Here's things to do that might help prevent this sort of thing in the future. Can you give us any insight at all?
I mean, all I know is what I was going through. And, I mean, what I was going through, I'm sure similar people go through it. People just handle it differently. You know? What to look for. I mean, there wasn't really very many signs that I gave off, I don't believe. My parents didn't know I was going through all this. My parents, you know, I didn't do stuff around my parents because I knew they didn't tolerate that. You know, anything I've ever done was always behind my parents' back. Okay? I mean, if a person is normally active, if a person is normally doing well in school and not having problems, and he just all of a sudden clamps up, don't want to talk, getting in trouble, yeah, obviously that's a warning sign. You know? Deviant behavior, running with the wrong crowd, being a gang member. I mean, I was for a long time. I guess technically, you know, That's a bad thing. It is. People who are physically violent and don't get counseling for it and don't talk about it, don't talk about the problems, period, stuff boils over. You know, and I think that was the main reason why. If there's any reason, that was the main reason why I decided to help Andrew do what we done. I feel like I didn't have anyone to talk to. I didn't have anyone to open up to. I didn't know who I could trust. No.
And you had a history of being physically violent.
Right.
You fought a lot.
Yes, sir. I did.
You were a member of a gang.
Yes, sir.
You used drugs.
Yes, sir.
And you also, in your diary, said you had a hangover that day.
No, that's not true. I didn't have one. If I did, I didn't drink alcohol at the time.
Okay, well, it's in your diary. You remember
I was
that.
probably talking,
Okay.
just talking crazy.
You had changed in your personality from someone who was a good student and not a disciplinary problem to one that was in trouble all the time, right? Or in trouble a lot.
I mean, the fights I got into, the stuff I normally done, technically I don't see myself as provoking that. Okay?
But you wound up in a lot of fights.
Yes, sir, I did.
And you had a lot of disciplinary problems at school.
Right. Okay.
And your parents knew about the disciplinary problems at school, didn't they? Surely the school let your parents know.
Yes, when I got suspended and things, yes, they sent home notes
Okay.
and contacted my parents.
And do you remember Jenna Renee Brooks? She was a 7th grade student when the shooting took place.
I believe so.
Well, she said that that both Golden and Johnson rode her same bus, and that Mitchell, quote, thinks he's a real big shot and says that he's always saying that he does drugs, he's going to whip somebody or bring a gun to school and shoot somebody. Did you tell her that?
I didn't associate with Jenna. She's one of those stuck-up people I was talking about earlier that didn't, she didn't associate with me.
Well, when she says, and she told the police that you said you were going to bring a gun to school and shoot somebody, that she'd overheard you saying that.
I've never told that to anybody.
Okay. And then she said that you brought a chain to school at one time and kept wrapping it around your hand and making gang signs. Did that happen?
What kind of chain?
I'm just telling you what she said.
No.
Didn't happen?
No, sir. Got a few more things to go over and we're about finished. Okay.
On Monday, March the 23rd, did you tell anybody, quote, I've got a lot of killing to do?
No, sir.
You sure about that?
Yes, sir. I didn't talk to anybody that day besides Jennifer. Jennifer's the only person that I talked to that day, throughout the whole day.
And you had previously talked about suicide yourself, had you not?
Suicide?
Mhm.
I never really wanted to kill myself, no.
But you talked about that you might, didn't you?
Not that I recall.
You never told anybody you were thinking about committing suicide?
I never really wanted to kill myself.
That's not what I asked.
I don't think I have.
A lot
no.
of people say that and they don't really want to do it.
Right.
But had you ever said to anybody, I might commit suicide or I might kill myself?
Not that I recall, no.
Okay. And I'm confused about something, so I just want to
Okay.
say this to you. You've told me time and again you were a member of a gang for a long time. When I took your deposition the first time, you said you were not a member of the gang.
Okay.
Which is it?
That I am. Then I was facing criminal charges, too. I'm not anymore.
Okay. Were the gang that you in affiliated with the Bloods?
It's who they are.
Okay. Did the police ever come to your home and find a .357 pistol on the table at your home and tell your mother Gretchen, that that gun should be secured? You remember that?
No,
Don't
sir.
remember it? Okay. Did you ever?
When did this happen, or supposedly happen?
before the shooting took place?
No, sir.
Okay. Did you ever brag about using drugs other than marijuana?
I've only smoked marijuana.
No.
I've never done any other drugs.
I'm not asking if you'd ever done them. I asked, did you brag about doing them? Because again, sometimes people say
No,
they do
sir.
things when they didn't.
Not that I know of.
Okay. Mr. Johnson, there's a lot of ground that we've covered, and
Okay.
I've asked you questions, and when you didn't understand them, I think you've asked me to clarify them, right?
For the most part, yes.
Are there any questions that I've asked you that you want to go back now and change or modify in any way? Any answers you've given you want to go back and change or modify?
I don't think so.
You realize the answers you give here are under oath and subject to penalty of perjury, which could include penitentiary if either a judge or a jury thought you'd committed perjury. Do you realize that?
Yes, sir, I do.
And you know that when Andrew gets out, we'll be taking his deposition.
That's not my business.
Okay. Do you know when Andrew gets out?
No, sir, I don't.
Okay. Do you know where Andrew is?
No, sir, I don't.
When Andrew gets out, if he has contact with you, will you let this court reporter know when she leaves you a card so we can supplement the deposition to say that he contacted you?
Why is that important?
Well, it's important if you guys are still having contact.
Why is that important, though?
Why is it important?
Right.
Because if the two of you got together and did something like this once, it's possible it could happen again.
Not on my behalf. It'll never happen again.
Then you would have no reluctance in letting us know that the two of you got in contact, right?
That's fine.
Okay. As far as that goes, you can call my office instead of the court reporter and just leave word that Andrew Golden got in touch with you. Can you do that?
Sure.
Okay. If your address changes, will you let us know?
Well, I don't plan on staying in Fayetteville. I mean, that's just temporary with Michael. I'm trying to find a job. I'm trying to get on my feet.
That's what I understand.
so
when your address changes, I have to send you papers and
Right.
so on and notify you of things.
Okay.
I can't do that if I don't know where and how to reach you.
This is true.
So will you keep my office informed as to your whereabouts?
I will try. I'm not going
I'll
to make
be-
promises, but I'll try.
Well, I'll give you one of my cards, which I'm doing now.
Right.
It has an 800 telephone number on it. It won't cost you anything.
That's fine.
And you can contact my office. You don't even have to talk to me. Just leave word with the secretary what your current address, phone number, and employment is. Will you do that?
Yes, sir.
You think that it's the least you could do for these parents and the Wright family to let them know of your whereabouts?
I don't think that's important,
You don't?
and I'm going to tell you why.
Why?
I've had several threats of my life.
By whom?
Mitchell Wright, for one, has threatened me
When did he threaten you?
several times.
Where?
We haven't had contact, but he's threatened my mother and threaten me, to harm me. And again, I'm sorry for what I've done. I'm really sorry this had to happen. I done what the judge gave me to do. I done my sentence. Was it a fair sentence? In my opinion, no, it wasn't, and I'll agree to that. But I am free. My whereabouts is nobody's business but my own. What I do is my own business.
Except when you're a party to civil litigation, you're required to keep the other side advised as to your whereabouts. That's one of the requirements. And so we have to know where, and I can assure you, Mitch Wright doesn't want to have any contact with you.
Just likewise, sir.
Okay? So keep my office informed of your whereabouts. Now, I'm going to ask you one other thing. If you think back on this and you think of something else, you're obligated to let me know that you remembered something else, like who shot or who did or who said what during the actual shooting.
Right.
And let me know, and we can supplement this deposition.
Okay.
Because this is your sworn testimony.
Yes, sir.
And after Andrew Golden's testimony is taken, the two will be compared.
Okay.
And either a judge or a jury or somebody might try to decide one of you's not telling the truth. and a judge or a jury or a prosecutor may decide one or the other of you or both have committed perjury. I'm not suggesting that will happen.
Right.
I'm just telling you that's what we're going to do, is get his deposition and compare the two stories.
Okay.
Okay? So that's why it's important that if you realize something you said is not true, you need to let us know so we can get the true version.
Okay.
Is that understandable?
Yes, sir. I understand that.
And again, you have no reluctance whatsoever in consenting to a judgment against you that would keep you from profiting from this in any way.
I don't ever plan to profit from this, ever.
So you
whatsoever.
certainly don't have any objection.
I have no objection. No, sir, I do not.
All right. I've tried to be courteous to you. Have I been?
Yes, sir, you have been. For
And
the most
you have
part.
to me.
Thank
All
you.
right. Is there anything else you want to say on this record while we're on the record, either to me or to the family members, that you haven't said that you want to get on the record? Anything at all?
On the record that I'm trying to live my life the best that I can with what I have. Right now, it's not a lot. And again, I'm very sorry that this has happened. I live with this every day of my life. It's never going to go away. That's my actual punishment, knowing that I took an innocent life, knowing that I've caused suffering and pain for somebody else, and that I truly, from the bottom of my heart, am sorry. That I pray that if they believe in God, they believe in the same God that I do, that they understand that, you know, from my heart, I'm sorry. I've asked for my forgiveness, both of them and of God. According to my Bible, the Holy Bible, you know, the Lord's forgiven me. And again, I don't hold any grudges towards anybody. You know, never, ever will I intend to hurt anybody again, ever. I didn't intend this time. It happened, and I'm really sorry it happened. And just, you know, I'm trying, again, the best of my ability to get established in life. Society is cruel, you know, especially towards a murderer. You know, and it's just something that I live with every day.
Okay. Anything else?
No, sir.
All right. That'll conclude the deposition. And thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
The time is 2:35 p.m.
You're all dark and twisty inside.